Ever since we opened our doors in 1964, Davis Ford in Fulton has been committed to providing the highest level of customer service and customer satisfaction. That level of commitment is shown in our 18 Ford President's Awards for overall customer experience. Whether you're looking for a tune-up, a trade-in, or a new F-150, the team at Davis Ford is here to serve you. Come see us today in Fulton. Call us at 662-862-3711 or visit us online at davisfordsales.com. Davis Ford, small-town dealership, small-town prices.
And welcome back to the Davis Ford pregame show. We are now joined by head coach Sean Cannon. Coach, let's go ahead and jump right in. Week one, it's here. Preseason's over. Time to get out there and hit somebody else. Just talk about the excitement of getting going and starting the season.
Yeah, you always kind of look back, especially with our new players, having whatever we have freshman-wise around 40. By this time, they've already played a preseason scrimmage, already played, week one, and they're going into week two before we even get started, and so the adjustment you got to make until preseason practice before you start playing, it's pretty tough on them, and I know they're tired of seeing each other, and I know we're ready to play somebody else, starting out, but, what's kind of amazing is we got less practice during the season than we do preseason. We look up and you're like, well, you only got so many that you're going to work during the year, and so once we get going, I think the kids will get into a routine and get used to this, as Coach Collier says, the junior college grind.
All right, Coach. Well, now Jones is a familiar opponent. Played him last year, had a battle, led him at halftime. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result we wanted, of course. But you also mentioned we got a lot of new faces, and so do they. So talk a bit about the preparation, not necessarily going in blind, but just kind of the preparation, getting ready for week one with a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, a lot of people call and they'll say, well, you heard anybody else in the league? And, you really don't know. You are familiar with the teams, maybe where you're going to dress and where you eat your pregame meal. But as far as teams, you don't know until after week one, till everybody plays a game and you see kind of what freshmen that everybody has and what kind of, how they're going to step up and play. And then you are familiar with some sophomores, that you played last year that will be upcoming year two players. But, you never know. I mean, guys get penciled in different positions. Maybe a freshman comes in and beats out a sophomore. And so, in somewhat you are going through a situation where as far as players, but you kind of look at the schemes and you try to match what they did last year and work the most that you can, but they're like anybody else. They might have studied different schemes over the summertime and come out in something totally different. Or, last year they had that great back, that had transferred back from Florida State. And so he was a feature guy for them. Who knows this year? They might be more of a receiver featured offense, a quarterback, who knows, and so we've got to be ready to weather the storm early to get the game settled down for us.
Okay, well, you mentioned a little bit about their offense there and the unknowns, but let's talk about what we do know, and that's our defense. I know you know it. Nobody knows it better than you. Talk a bit about our defensive side of the ball, what you're expecting, and kind of just the whole, not scheme, but just how the morale is with the defense getting ready for week one.
Yeah, the probably the biggest loss we had was up front as far as old guys with experience. A lot of our D linemen last year were our 3-year players for us, and so we're young up there. We're not as girthy. I guess you throw out Tyreek Howard, who's in the 330s, and Jaquan Lott. I mean, you lost some really, really big size, and so schematically we might be more of a slant team this year. Moving our guys around because we feel like we got some pretty good athletes that are around that 280, 290 mark. Versus those 330s, and so we got to have some guys grow up on the D line early. Just get in there and get knocked around, as they say, and get the rust off a little bit. Linebackers got a good mixture coming back. 4 guys that played for me last year, Antonio and Josh Pack, Brandon Fairley and Antravian Smith. And so feel good about those guys as they would go through spring football with them. And those guys have been doing a good job leading fall camp. And got some young guys at my position, too, that I'm anxious to see get into a ball game. And, and that's the thing, too, you look at, getting those guys early reps, whether it's 10 to 20 to 30 snaps the first game to get it under their belt, because how you going to gain experience if you don't put them in there, And then you look at DBs with Hobbs, Steen, and Taylor, all 3 of those guys that started for us last year, and then we're mixing in a couple of new safeties, one more new safety there, and so you hope to hopefully build some depth from within as you go through there. But we know early in the year you're going to have to count on the guys that played in football games, And so look for those guys to get a lot of snaps, tonight, and then hopefully we'll be able to get some new guys in and, give them a little game rep. And just because that's the hardest thing as a junior college coach is you can tell them how it's going to be, but the only thing you can't give them is experience, and they got to learn that on themselves. And so we're looking forward to, some of them getting in there and mixing it up.
Okay, well, let's switch sides here. Let's talk a bit about our offense. I know we got a lot of new faces there. Just talk about some of the guys, what you expect for the guys who are returning, and the impact they might have on tonight's game, and the new guys coming in, what you look for them.
Yeah, bringing in 2 new quarterbacks, Carson Green and Red Parker. They have done a really good job this preseason for us, and feel like those guys give us a good 1-2 punch there. Carson's a guy that we had recruited, and he had signed with a 4-year school and was able to get him back in the spring, and so he's been under Coach Cook's offense for a spring and a fall camp. So we feel like he's going to be a guy that can hopefully lead the ship where it needs to be. And then Eric Watt's coming back from last year, who was a dynamic player on special teams for us, and then at the end of the year started, he was a really dominant player. But you can just tell year 1 to year 2 in him, his game has picked up, all around, blocking, running, and it's just because he knows kind of what, what's going to be expected of him, and then receiving core, a lot of new faces there. Dylan King's a returning guy, that we had in the spring, and Sangren and those guys, but we're breaking in some new receivers. Feel like Zay Davis, Nick Fortune have done a good job for us. Keyshawn Sessom, and so a lot of youth there, but feel like we got a good bit of talent. If we can protect, get them the football there, we feel like those guys can make plays for us, And then O-line's really kind of our split of the D-line. We got Parker Littleback, Frank Bean, Qdarius Hodges, John Tavius Lane, Eddie Lewis, and so we feel like we got a good nucleus of O-line there, and be able to bring some of them young guys that we signed on. So Marion Tucker's done a good job for us, and he'll be a guy that'll get in the mix for us, tonight as well as a freshman. And so we're really excited about those guys, and it's all about those guys being able to sustain drives and do what we got to do to keep the ball in our hand.
Okay, well, one place you do have experience is in the kicking game. Have 3 guys coming back, especially Price Nixon and Shane Lasher both have a lot of experience here for you. Talk about how big of a role they might play and how good it is to have some experience back at those positions.
Yeah, they do a good job complimenting each other. Price is doing a good job punting the ball, and him and Shane are doing a good job working kickoffs and field goals, PATs, and things like that. And having those 3 guys back with our snapper, with Wade coming back too, is really good. Those guys went through spring practice, they went through an off season, and so you can just tell the maturity they've had, going into this fall camp, and feel like that, they've been there, done that type deal, and so the first time that they kick a ball will not be tonight, and so that's always a good deal, especially with the kicker, being a pressure situation and all that, and so feel really good about those guys too.
Okay, well, lastly, let's switch gears here and go to the Bank Okolona keys to victory for tonight's game against Jones.
Well, the thing I've been talking the most in preseason, the teams that usually win early, if you go back and, I know football's starting this weekend, and so a lot of great matchups, but if you'll watch what happens in those big matchups, and really any game, it's who makes the fewest mistakes. As a coach, you worry about not enough on the field, too many on the field, having to take a timeout because you don't have the right personnel, and the things we've practiced, obviously, but nerves take over, especially when you have a lot of young guys that's never been in a college atmosphere, and so you hope not to beat yourself, with the penalties that I say that are controllable. That's penalties before the ball is snapped, ball starts, offsides, those things like that, and so. Eliminating the penalties, turnovers, number 2 is going to be key. Can we get the ball back and give our offense another chance to try to go score? And, can we keep hold of the football? And that's always a key early in the year is holding on to the football. And then it's the ones that makes the biggest plays or eliminates the biggest plays. And the thing that you look at defensively, just like their defense and our defense, no quarterback that's a starter has been hit yet. Nobody's going to let their starter get hit. I don't care what coach it is. And so every quarterback that's taken a snap that's a starting quarterback had been hit probably since last season. And so that's always going to be a key. Can you protect the quarterback early, and can you get the quarterback down? And because you have if you practice drills, of moving away from the rush or keeping the quarterback in the pocket or whatever you want to say, but it's really going to be the first time you've actually tried to tackle a quarterback, and you'll kind of see that over the weekend. I'm sure, guys will get back there and they'll miss the quarterback. He gets outside the pocket, creates an explosive play there, and so. You look for all of those, early in the year, and just just want to go out and play well. I know everybody says your biggest improvements from week 1 to week 2, but you got to see kind of how you worked in the preseason. And I think the kids get closer to game time, it gets a little more, their stomach gets to turn a little bit more, and butterflies come, and that's just natural. And this is my 25th year of coaching, and I still feel the same way. And so if I still feel this, I know the kids do, but hopefully we'll come out there and give Jones a great game.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for joining us, and best of luck tonight.
All right.
And we'll be back with more of the Davis Ford Pregame Show on the ICC Sports Network.
Ever since we opened our doors in 1964, Davis Ford in Fulton has been committed to providing the highest level of customer service and customer satisfaction. That level of commitment is shown in our 18 Ford President's Awards for overall customer experience. Whether you're looking for a tune-up, a trade-in, or a new F-150, the team at Davis Ford is here to serve you. Come see us today in Fulton. Call us at 662-862-3711 or visit us online at davisfordsales.com. Davis Ford, small-town dealership, small-town prices.